is like on Jupiter and Mars. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. Fly me to the moon. Let me.
Welcome everyone. How is it going? Happy Sunday to everyone. Let me know if my audio is coming in clear in the chat. I see a bunch of familiar people already in here, some mods as well. I'm going to read out some cities, states, countries, whatever you guys feel comfortable sharing. If you're watching on a replay, let me know by putting hashtag replay. We got a packed show today. I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of everything I've got pulled up. Recession is coming, says CNBC. We're going to go through some of the macro news as well. We're going to go through Tesla stock analysis to figure out where Tesla's currently sitting at. Tesla and its big news on how many cars they finally built. Tesla an upgrade on Wall Street yet again. We're going to go through that. Mr. Chanos continues to be wrong. We're going to watch a little clip on Jim Chanos. If you haven't seen it already, make sure you're tuned in for this one. Mary Barra, UAW strike going on. Of course, we know about that. She gets absolutely smoked in this interview on CNN. Elon, you probably read this in the title, Elon saying that Tesla can hit $1 trillion of profit per year. Let's go into the context of where he said that and his logic behind it, which I think is probably one of the biggest pieces of news to come. But let me go through some places here, and if you're watching on replay, feel free to throw it also into the chat then. Petri, how's it going? Johnny says, I'm talking live here from the cornfields of southern Minnesota. Welcome, Johnny. Thanks for joining me. I've heard rumors that Tesla's working on a Gen 2 Semi. Oh, okay. Maybe I've left that out. Sean, how's it going, my friend? Media. Joseph, let's do it. Mark says, happy Sunday, tuning in from Nunavut. I love it. Mark, you're the man. Thanks for coming. Mimi, hi, Juju Gang. Welcome to another Sunday stream. Please hit like while we wait for Yash. Appreciate that, Mimi. Thank you. Hope all is well. Sunday fun day. Yes, indeed. Michael, how's it going? Back from vacation, I bet. Down memory lane. Yes, I've made a little montage. Folks, it's Sunday morning. Forgive me. I've made a little compilation with everything there, and I've tried to make it at least somewhat decent. And that was pretty old that I've made that, so I probably should update it as well. How's it going, Robin from BC, local here? Awesome. I sound great. Okay, perfect. I tried fixing my mic settings a little bit to make it a little more poppy, minus the pop filter. Philly, how's it going, CJ? Maybe from Sweden, of course. Manish, always from Canada and always from that same spot. Alabama, Sweden, how's it going? Montreal, Messi, how's it going, my friend? Cindy coming in from Australia. How's it going, Cindy? Belgium, East Flanders. Folks, so many European friends on our chat here. And I'm excited to finally visit the continent. I know it's sad, it's upsetting. I've never been, but at the end of this month, I will be there. Alrighty. Sweden, let's bang through some of these. Sweden, Creemore, Ontario. How's it going, Ronald? Orlando. Emmanuel, how's it going, my man? Juju Gang member, VIP member, long time no see. With the time zone, it's kind of hard, but Monday morning in Beijing. I guess this is probably a pretty decent time for you. I hope all is well. Florida man, Texas, Austin. How's it going, Juan? Morning. Wichita, Kansas. Love that city name. Love that city name. Bavaria, Puerto Rico. Stefan, how's it going? Evening from Liverpool. Very nice. Very nice. Singapore, Italy. I'll be in Italy very soon. My friend. Netherlands, Bath, England. Geneva, Illinois. How's it going, Dave? Alrighty, let's do it. Let's get into our first topic du jour. Let's get into some Tesla stock analysis. Actually, did I even set up my Webull here? Okay, there we go. So 274.39 sitting on Tesla. Pretty decent week, right? If you look at the candle, we've gapped up. We gapped up from 249, 250 close last week, and we gapped up Monday morning for last Monday morning, that is, to 264, rallied as high as 278, and then closed the week at 274. Again, this is that bull trend that I talked about on Twitter a couple of weeks ago, saying this seems like a good day for Tesla to flip on the bull trend. We are still intact with that. I'd have to check the level on the downside for us to break, but I mean, if we've gapped up since then, there's no way that we're back down. So as it stands right now, I think it's probably pretty illuminating to say this, but since the end of April, beginning of May, Tesla is up. Let me just pull this up correctly so I don't do some false advertising. Tesla's up roughly 66%. 66% since the end of April, beginning of May to now. And that's about 140 days. 140 days. So pretty epic bull run that Tesla's been on. I mean, all year, right? But after it stagnated in February, since May, we're also up about 66%. We'll get into the upgrade here. Actually, good timing. Let's get into that. Do I have another upgrade on Wall Street? Now, this one, mind you, I'm getting into the wrong news story here. One second. Okay. So UBS from Sawyer Merritt has raised their Tesla price target from 290 from 270. Not a huge upgrade, but let's read it a little bit. They believe that Tesla's pricing strategy could potentially provide it with a formidable competitive edge, allowing the company to expand its customer base. This approach may also create challenges for competitors grappling with higher operating costs. Now, that's not really news to any Tesla bull sitting out there. I think a lot of us probably agree, okay, there's no way that competition can even come close to competing with Tesla here. Namely because the competition is mostly on strike. This UAW strike is, I heard someone on Twitter say they're going to single-handedly bring down inflation. And it is a huge strike if you think about the amount of workers that are currently on strike. But putting that aside, this is why unions, and we don't have to get into the whole union debate here. By the way, I hope you like my hat. This is why there's complications that happen when you're a part of a union that Tesla doesn't have. Also, Elon probably has a large pool of people that might be jumping ship. Now, I'm not sure how much capacity they need at the moment in the Detroit area, but it is something. Evan says the competition wants to work 32 hours and get paid more. Well, I made this joke kind of tongue in cheek, and I'll see if I can pull it up here. And it actually got pretty good traction on X. Where is it? Oh, by the way, I should show you guys this. Okay, have you guys seen this yet? Can I spend a hot second interrupted here? Just showing you guys this. Okay, so from Jackie Heshi saying, accidentally parked in a no after hours access parkade, use a Tesla summon to trigger the gate sensor. So check this out.
That's it. Oh.
I'll put the volume down a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's it, baby.
No fucking.
That's it, baby.
No fucking way.
So he's using his phone to trigger the summon for the parkade to open.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think that's hilarious. And I retweeted this saying, imagine running this as an ad, minus the profanities, of course. But you guys get my point. Running this as an ad would actually be hilarious. Okay, anyways, let's not get distracted. Let me go find that. So I tweeted this out last week. I said 3 days ago, UAW is fighting for 32-hour work weeks, and Tesla's fighting for more compute power for V12 robotaxis. Gee, I wonder who will win in 10 years. So pretty good traction on this tweet. And I guess, of course, I'm being a little bit sensationalist when I try to compare these two things. But my point still being is that they're playing in different arenas completely. How's it going, Bogdan? Derek says it's not going to take 10 years to get to robotaxis, but I get your point. Fair enough. Speaking of robotaxis, I only think about one thing when I think about robotaxis. That is it. Text screen. Oh, I can't even see that. Okay, anyways, back to my point. Let's get this off here. The upgrade comes, and of course, when we talk about upgrades for Tesla, a big portion of the upgrades currently have to do with Dojo. It's interesting to see that this one really doesn't, and it's just more about pricing. But again, a $20 price upgrade, it is what it is. It's not going to be really market moving per se. But it is funny that when Tesla starts to rally, all these analysts like to piggyback and try to chase the stock up, and vice versa on the way down. Morgan Stanley, Adam Jonas got a lot of heat for their upgrade last week. Huge amount of criticism on Wall Street for that, about apparently pretending that Dojo exists when it really doesn't. But yes. Okay. So that's the upgrade that you guys should probably know about. I do want to talk about this piece of news as well. Actually, I don't think I've pulled this up properly here. 1 second. Tesla. Let me just pull up the Tesla count. See, this is what I don't like about Twitter right now. When I search up Tesla, no offense to anyone here, but Tesla should be the first one that pops up here on my suggested. It's not. Whatever. It's fine. You'll find it. But news from Tesla this week is, or just yesterday, this week we've produced our 5th million car. Thank you, Tesla owners, for your ongoing support. So Tesla's officially hit their 5th million car built in history. I think it's huge. And one piece of news, one piece of context to have with this is that this comes 6 months. This comes 6 months after them building their 4th million car. So that exponential growth curve is coming, and soon enough, they'll be building this many cars a year. So we're almost at this point now where Tesla is hitting, and of course, even in the beginning of the year when Tesla did close to 500,000 cars in a quarter, I tweeted saying, I remember in 2020 when Tesla barely even hit 500,000 cars in the year, mind you, COVID. But now they're doing that in a quarter and kind of calling it light work. So it is nuts. It is nuts. Okay. Another piece of, or actually I did have this pulled up here. So any context to this? Milestone reached sometime, blah, blah, blah. Hold on. Let me see if there's any context here. So this is the 5th million car, by the way, in Giga Shanghai. This is what it looks like. Everyone's taking a photo with it. Good stuff. And 12 years after the first Roadster was built, the 1 millionth car, a red Model Y, rolled off the Fremont production lines in March 2020. While the first million cars took 12 years, the second million was just reached 15 months later. The third million, that is, was even quicker, 10 months later, followed by just 7 months later for the 4th million, and then little over 6 months for the 5th million car to be built this week. So given that timeline, Tesla should build another million cars and reach 6 million total cars built in January or February of next year. We're going to get to this point where every millionth car that Tesla builds, they don't even bother announcing. It's like, okay, are we really going to do that now? The speed of which these successive milestones were reached has been thanks to the hard work crews at the 4 assembly plants, Fremont, Texas, Berlin, and Shanghai. They also reached another feat this week, by the way, which is 6 superchargers in September of 2012, and September 2023, 11 years later, 50,000 superchargers worldwide. Insane. Am I going to get copyrighted for that? Maybe. Let's check it out. And the 50,000th, I think, is somewhere in California. And I saw DeBooster. If DeBooster is watching, I went there in person, in the flesh, tried it out himself, took a photo with it, posted it on Twitter. So epic. Somewhere in the world, they kind of left that there. It's a pretty epic supercharger too. Pretty epic. Okay. How's it going, Richard? Okay. So that is that. That's that little piece of news there. Let's go into, have you guys seen Jim Chanos talking about Tesla yet? Let me know in the comments, in the chat. So Jim Chanos, Mr. Certified Tesla Q, Tesla Bear, Tesla Hater, is on mainstream media again talking about Tesla. Have you guys seen this clip yet? Maybe parts of it. But he talks a little bit about China. I'm not going to go into that, but for the most part, I do actually kind of agree with this sentiment about China really holding the U.S. supply chain by its neck. But yes, he does love to get his face ripped off by shorting Tesla. So he talks about, actually, let me just go back here a little bit. AI. Okay. Now, if there's one guy that you want to know about AI, it's Jim Chanos. Am I right? The guy who doesn't believe in NVIDIA or Tesla will explain to us why AI is a big doomsday scenario. Let's see. Okay, so I take it you haven't. Let's just hear what he has to say. There's some interesting context here that I want to provide.
We were talking before we went to break about the era of AI.
Let me know if the audio is okay.
What kind of opportunities has this opened up as someone who looks at the market with a very critical eye?
Well, I think anytime we see one of these tectonic shifts in new technology, like the internet in the 90s, people at first embrace everything. Everything is going to benefit. But what you find out, of course, is that when it's truly a major shift, is that those technologies end up harming as many businesses as they create. And so
would you say that the internet has harmed just as many businesses as it's helped over the lifespan of the internet? I don't know, man.
if you think about the companies that were in the business of distributing analog physical products,
We should look into this. Larry asked a good question. How did Chanos get so rich? We should do a Wikipedia deep dive after.
products that became digitized, they went away. Blockbuster Video, Eastman Kodak. I mean, companies like that, record stores. I mean, and I suspect that if AI is as big as most people think it will be, you will see lots of businesses that had moats find out that the moats have been breached. So your software as a service, what prevents a corporation from having AI design its own software for various?
He says that like it's a bad thing, you know? It's like, look, if AI is like fire, right? This is the analogy I kind of look at AI with. AI is kind of like fire. Of course, arson, burning people, burning yourself. There's a million bad things that you can do. But if fire is contained in a fireplace, it can warm up your entire house.
There's different applications, right? And there's lots of things that suddenly you don't think about. I kind of
Thanks, Don.
joked a little bit a few months ago when IBM's CEO came out and said that AI may make some of the IBM workforce redundant. And I joked, well, what happens when the clients find that same thing out?
Yeah,
Okay, so he's saying AI is going to replace a lot of people. People are going to be pissed. Look, I mean, any technology is going to have a displacement effect on the workforce. But the theory being that those people can be freed up to do more productive things for society. This whole doomsday narrative about AI is just, it's very typical of Chanos, in my opinion, to have it. But it's just, I don't know.
I mean, that's a really good point. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about your strategy around shorting and what you're seeing in the market today. I think a lot of people, of course, understand your history with being a fraud hunter and going after companies like Enron in the past. I'm wondering if over the last few decades, with regulatory changes, you've seen fraud reduced, or are there increased instances of potential fraud out there?
I've called this the golden age of fraud. I think there's more fraud in the financial markets now than there has ever been.
Why?
And I teach a course.
By the way, so Tesla Q, essentially, a big portion of Tesla Q like to frame what they're doing as fraud hunting. They're looking out for the next fraud. And the reason for this is quite simple. when you're a bear, when you're a skeptic and you're generally considered and people are looking at you as you're a wrong, like your theory is wrong for many, many years, and then you're proven right very fast. Example, Enron, right? People that were calling for the real estate crash of '08 years prior, after the Big Short, classic example, after they're proven right, after being made fun of for so many years, the amount of notoriety that you get is disproportionately higher than if you're a bull and you cheer on new tech and let's say you lose 4 out of 10 of the theses that you have, but you hit on 6 out of 10. You don't get the same amount of credit in media, in investor base than you do when you are anti something and you're proven right. So what ends up happening is a large portion of people like to frame what they're doing as fraud hunting or investigation in the hopes that one of these theses is proven right and they get the amount of notoriety that they need, right? Of course, Chanos is tied to Enron. So there's that, Big Short, Michael Burry. But the amount of credit that Wall Street or investors start to give you when you protect them, and it's just basic risk aversion, right? As humans, we are, it hurts us more in the magnitude to lose $10 than it does for us to make 20, right? There's something about that loss aversion that we have. And so you have people like Chanos, you have people like Tesla Q, I'm not going to name people, you have people like Michael Burry, who are out there in the hopes that they can catch one of these quote unquote frauds out there, be proven right, and then live eternally in the Hall of Fame. That's all it is. And of course, Tesla defies logic. A lot of the times it will defy logic, Amazing news, Tesla's down. Terrible news, Tesla's up. So it really is easy to feed into the day-to-day narrative on this sort of stuff. Anyways, let's continue. Rich says, as it turns out, on my live stream tonight, we've had a short killer on to talk about the immorality. There we go. Folks, what is wrong with me on Sunday morning? Something about it. Immorality of shorting, and it's anti-progressive. We can have this whole debate actually about shorting as well.
Of course, on the history of financial market fraud. So
I need some
the
coffee.
cycles go back to the late 17th century. I think that it always changes, but what really has me bothered now is that a lot of it hides in plain sight in the way in which companies report their business and their metrics. So prior to say 10 years ago, you really had to sort of, if a company was making unusual changes to its earnings statements, they would have to explain it away. And nowadays, adjusted earnings are basically the norm. And companies add back all kinds of things that they don't really
It is a little wild.
care expense. Oh, it's amazing. Coinbase, in the fourth quarter of last year, I think share-based comp was almost 80% of revenues. And they just added it back.
I mean,
and so it's,
we go back to the why WeWork didn't go public.
Okay, screw WeWork. We don't care. Let's get to the Tesla part. It starts right at 13 minutes. Let's see what
it
happens.
behooves you to basically hear both sides of any story.
We'd be remiss if I didn't ask for an update from you on Tesla. Shares up 124% this year.
He can't help to laugh. Look at his face. He is. That's the laugh. The laugh that, like, someone's laughing and they have like a little thing on top of their face, but they're actually crying behind it.
Yeah, we are short Tesla. We remain short. It's one of our 44 positions that we have. Look, Tesla is in many ways, I think, epitomizes this bull market. It's a hopes and dreams stock. It's trading at 75 times earnings, which aren't growing anymore. It looks like revenues are going to be challenged in terms of growth. So it's now, again, an AI story or a robotaxi story or a battery story or a robotics story. It's whatever you want it to be. And it reminds me a lot of Cisco back in 1999 and 2000,
Wow.
where Cisco was a networking company Tesla is a car company, but Cisco was going to get into everything else that had anything to do with the internet. And people put a higher and higher multiple on it. And ultimately, Cisco did okay, but the stock price, dropped 90%.
So the bar he's setting is that he doesn't, pretty much what he's implied there. He doesn't ever think Tesla is hitting all-time highs again. And if anything, he thinks that it'll be dropping substantially from here. Yeah, that's a good catch, actually. He says 44 short positions. So again, this is my point. People like this get notoriety, disproportionate amount of notoriety from being short and being right rather than being long and being right. There's a degree of this. Where can we get that cap? Shipped to Europe? I do think I shipped to Europe. TSLAGG.com. Is it in the description? I'm not sure if it is. Check it out. Thank you. You haven't hit that bid until you hit that like. Push that burn. Thank you.
I'm going to do a quick lightning round of some stuff that has been reported that you are or have been short recently. Just have me yes or no's if you're still short.
Ooh. Okay. Short or not. By the way, there's a good debate happening in the comments about shorts, whether shorting should exist. Let's have this debate right after this clip. Oh, whoops. Don't want to download.
Digital Realty Trust?
We are short the data centers.
SL Green Realty?
SL Green is, we are short commercial real estate.
Okay. Tesla, you said. Sunrun, you said.
The solar leasing companies, I've called them science projects. They're absolutely hysterical. They lose hundreds of millions of dollars, huge negative free cash flow. And getting back to our early conversation about metrics, they report rather than a regular P&L, which would be embarrassing. They report these net present value calculations based on the panels they put up on people's roofs, and it's absolutely hilarious the way they do it. And I think investors are going to find out the hard way about it.
All right, Jim, we're going to spend the last 40 seconds with you getting your thoughts on what you're watching, what you're streaming, what you're doing, and what you're seeing at the movie theater. New movie out, Dumb Money. It's got Pete Davidson in it. It's got Seth Rogen in it.
All right. In case you wanted to get Jim Chanos' movie recommendations, you can watch the end of that. But as you guys know, I don't watch movies. I'd rather sit at home and do that. Okay. So what's interesting, there's a really good debate happening in the chat right now, and it's about should shorting exist? And a lot of people feel like shorting should not exist. Elon's on the record to say shorting should not exist. His logic is very simple. Can you short private companies? No. So why should you be able to short public companies, right? Pretty much that's his thesis. And the problem with shorting is that you can have a bunch of bad actors pool up together, short the crap out of a company, bringing it to bankruptcy. That's the problem with shorting. The upside to shorting is hedging. If you're an investor and you want to hedge a position, and maybe you want to be long this index, but you want to be exclusive of this company, a la Bill Gates type shorting, then you can do that. The problem, of course, with shorting is that it does drive down stock price. And essentially, if the stock is relying on the stock price for funding, for liquidity, there's an issue there. Of course, naked shorting is an entirely different problem altogether as well. My opinion is that if you want to hedge, options exist for a reason. That's why puts exist, right? That's why calls exist. Calls and puts, everyone likes to talk about options. And I chatted about this with Brian on my Tesla Weekends channel about options. But I said, look, like options don't exist just so we can be degenerate gamblers. Options exist so people can sell covered calls on their equities. Options exist so people can implement roll strategies to get into positions or buy insurance, right? Options are insurance, both on the long and short side. So options, though they do have a derivative effect on stock price, it's not to the same effect, or it's not to the same magnitude that legit shorting does. He says this guy. Good one. Okay. Shorting has its place in the market, Jay says. And so there's this debate that I think we can have. Rich says it's not just drives prices down, but it kills companies. And that's the issue. If you're a small enough company, you can 100% get killed by shorting. That 100%. Very true. And again, this is Tesla's story in the early days, of course. And that's why Elon is so anti-shorting, is because when you're You can have predatory shorting. That is the issue. Predatory shorting. When a bunch of bad actors get together and they look at a company and they go, this company is so close to bankruptcy. If we all got together and we just shorted this a little bit and we put out some sort of FUD, the stock would crash, go to zero. This company would be nada. And especially if they don't like the person running it, maybe they have some ill will towards them. Maybe they just look at them and they're jealous and they get insecure about themselves. And then they can target companies like that. And of course, Tesla was a prime example of this in the early days, very close to hitting bankruptcy. It's very easy for that to be a problem. So, so JCam says, VinFast is a great example why shorting should be allowed. So interesting theory there, right? VinFast is Vietnamese EV car maker, whatever thing, hit like $400 billion market cap very fast. And actually, that's actually a really good point. Before we get into our next topic, let me just pull up VinFast stock. So VinFast stock is currently sitting at $17. It was at a high of $82. All right, folks, at the end of August. Insane. Okay, insane. Since the highs, it's down already 78%. And the thing is, options exist for this. So you could, or it did. So you could, in theory, have bought puts, sold calls, that sort of thing, if you really wanted to. But with a market cap of $40 billion, and I'm not even sure what their revenue is, VinFast revenue, it's confident about a $2 billion revenue forecast this year. It's trading at 40. So that's whatever. But when it was trading at, what was this? So 80. So let's say times by 4. So $160 billion market cap. Yeah. McFly says shorting's fine. Then the downsides, as you just mentioned, exist in being long also. Well, here's the thing about being long. You can never screw someone by being long. By being long, you're an investor in a company and they get increased stock price, increased capital, increased liquidity with their stock. The issue with shorting is that you bring the stock price down, but then also you can bring it down to a cap, right? Like stock prices can only go down to zero and before they get bankrupt. And so the issue with shorting is that there is an arbitrary, quote unquote, arbitrary $0 price target that if you hit, you essentially screw the company. Realistically, it's not actually zero. It's some number greater than zero at which the stock is just disgustingly low and no one wants to touch it anymore. And essentially that spirals the company downwards. But with going long, I mean, yeah, you can go long to infinite. I mean, it doesn't really matter. And I guess it only helps people that are invested in the company. So you don't have that same level of responsibility on both sides. I mean, it's a very, very, very interesting philosophical debate that we can have about shorting. And super cool that you guys are interested in this. Yeah, well, we can get into the insider stuff. I'm not too well versed on VinFast in particular, I will say. So Jan says, even if an exchange doesn't allow shorting company, what is to prevent me from privately approaching a shareholder and privately arranging a short? Same for a private non-public company. Well, I just don't know how you would do that. Like you would go up to a CEO of a company who would say, hey, can I borrow some of your stock from you? And I promise to buy it back later when the price is lower. I mean, you'd kind of get laughed out of the building. It just wouldn't, in theory, happen. Because if the CEO is willing to let someone open up a short against his or her own company, I mean, I just don't know in theory if that's something that actually would ever happen. So anyways, very, very good chat. Look at all the comments in here. Squeezed in here, Bill says, is Tesla due for another gamma squeeze? I was thinking about that the other day, and I'll explain why here in a second. Let's see. Okay, interesting. Very, very interesting. So, by the way, on getting smoked, check this out. Mary Barra goes on CNN on a live table, all right? And just listen to this couple minute video here. Epic. I think it's just epic.
The union is demanding, asking for a 40% wage increase over 4 years. They're asking for that in part because they say CEOs like yourself, leading the big three, are making those kind of pay increases over the course of the last 4 years. You've seen a 34% pay increase in your salary. You make almost $30 million.
Oh,
Why should your workers not?
that's the face of someone who makes 30 million shekels a year. Amazing.
Get the same type of pay increases that you're getting leading the company?
Well, if you look at compensation, my compensation, 92% of it is based on performance of the company. I think one of the strong aspects of the way our compensation for our represented employees is designed is not only do our...
By the way, I just want to just highlight how rehearsed that answer was. Like, it almost seems like they were in cahoots. Like, it seems like instant. I mean, she's probably very well trained from her communications department. Very well rehearsed. Let's just go back and see. Like, she wasted no time to answer this question.
I think one of the, my compensation, 92% of it is based on performance of the company. I think one of the strong aspects of the way our compensation for our represented employees is...
Did she just say 92% of her compensation is based on the performance of the company? Come on. Let's be serious for a hot
designed
second.
Is not only are we putting a 20% increase on the table, we have profit sharing. So when the company does well, everyone does well. And for the last several years, that's resulted in record profit sharing for our represented employees. And I think you have to look at the whole compensation package, not only 20% increase in gross wage, but also the profit sharing aspect of it, world-class health care, and there's several other features. So we think we have a very competitive offer on the table, and that's why we want to get back there and get this done.
But if you're getting a 34% pay increase over 4 years and you're offering 20% to employees right now, do you think that's fair?
Oh,
And his name is
went
John
there.
C.
Okay, I take it back. I don't actually think this is that rehearsed between these two because she just smoked her.
Well,
right
I
there.
think when you look at the overall structure and the fact that 92% is based on performance, and you look at what we've been doing of sharing in the profitability when the company does well, I think we've got a very compelling offer on the table, and that's the focus I have right now.
Very, very, very good politician type answer right there. I will say, like, look, I have nothing against her making 32 million bucks. Everyone should strive to make as much money as they possibly can. Now, the issue is when compensation isn't in line with company performance, and then you get a lot of finger pointing. So I don't know what's going to happen with this. It seems like this is going to drag on for a while. The good news is this will probably bring inflation down, right? Less people having to fuel the economy in a terrible way. Inflation will probably come down a little bit. I'm not sure how meaningfully. I'm just kind of joking about this. But Stefan says, do you think the government will bail them out again? Even though they've defaulted on their last bailout, looks like they're banking on it. I don't know how the government steps in on this. I don't know the politics that are possible here, but it seems like this is a union issue with the employer. So I just don't know how the government can come in. What is interesting is Biden is kind of speaking on this a little bit. Where are the likes at? By the way, hit like, hit subscribe if you're enjoying the content. It always helps the channel. It helps push this on the YouTube algo. Currently sitting at 94 likes. Let's try to get this up. We got 334 people watching live. Let's get this, and obviously more people watching on replay. Let me know in the comments if you are. Hit the like if you haven't already, and I will update that later. All right, let's get it. Okay, we're over 100 now at least. Okay, good. Big Lex says listening to the Sunday podcast is like going to church. I appreciate that. Very nice of you to say. Okay. All right. Awesome. So let's read out some comments on this Mary Barra situation here. Hold on one sec. It's based on performance at Barra and the board sets. It's ridiculous. Well, of course, that's the issue, right? Pietri says Elon has no pay package right now. It will be interesting to see the next one. That is true. Now, in a degree, though, Elon owns so many shares that, of course, compensation is, it's not compensation in the direct sense, but, his net worth is directly tied to Tesla, still a large portion of it. And since what has kind of happened to X, even a larger percentage of his net worth than when he bought it. Gordon Johnson is bullish on GM. I am not doubting you at all, Ronald, on that. Elon's pay package is stock-based, correct? Marigar gets 30 million. Yeah, I think hers is cash. I don't know. I'd have to check on her comp. Actually, let's pull this up. Let's not spread too much fake news. Compensation. Let's see, cash. So let's do $29 million. Let's see here. So its annual executive compensation report, GM filed to the SEC. It reported that Barra made a total of $28,979,570 in 2022, compared with about $1 million higher the year before for running the company and chairing the board of directors. She took home $23.7 million compensation in 2019. How much of this is cash? Hold on, let me just click on this. Let's see. I don't know if I'd have to read the SEC filing. I'd reckon a large portion of this is cash, not just stock. Okay, well, in 2020, her base salary was $2 million, down from 2019, 2018 was 2.1. Okay, GM said that 90% of Barra's compensation is quote unquote at risk. Okay, so the compensation includes salary, discretional bonus, stock options award, non-equity incentive plans. Okay, so it seems like it technically is cash, but it is tied to some sort of performance that they've set out that I'd have to read the report for, if I cared enough about it. Thank you, Messi. Appreciate that. Okay, let's change this to the next topic here. So recession. Everyone's talking about recession again. It seems like you guys know where I stand on the recessionary talks. Let's watch this, titled "Recession May Not Hit to the End of the First Half of 2024." By the way, that's Q2 for all those people counting. New Edge Wealth's Cameron Dawson
Historically
says.
bad month for stocks, and they've shown some remarkable resiliency lately. Does that mean we're out of the woods or about to get worse? Let's ask Cameron Dawson, Chief Investment Officer for New Edge Wealth, with me here at Post 9. It's nice to see you again.
See you.
So we have been resilient. Beginning of the month, we're like, okay, this is a historically bad month, batten down the hatches, and it really hasn't been all that bad. The question is, what happens now? We're halfway through.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why it hasn't been all that bad is because we have had this lift in earnings estimates. It's been slight for the S&P, but it's actually been rather robust for the NASDAQ. They're up about 9% over the last couple of months. So that's acting as a little bit of a floor under markets. And I think it's one of the reasons why markets have been able to shake off the higher interest rates.
All right, be honest, throw in the chat. To what degree are you surprised that the market has held up as decently as it has in the last little bit? Throw a 0 to 10. 10 being very surprised on how well the market economy has held up in the last 2 or 3 years. 0 being very unsurprised. You expected the economy to hold up as much as it has. I'd be curious to see the sentiment on this. I'd actually paint myself on the upper end of that range because I'm slightly more surprised than I thought I would be. Because the economy's held up. Now, the question is it just a quick lag here? 7, 6, 7, and hopefully you guys got the chat box here above my head so you guys can see that as well. Vincent seems to say 0, Todd says 1. So I'd say about the average is above 5 at least. So generally speaking, it seems like the chat is a little bit more surprised that the economy's held up.
Normally would put more downward pressure on valuations.
So you know the obvious question that's coming out of that, are they too optimistic?
Yeah, well, they might be for 2024. They're also very narrow. That's what's interesting is that the NASDAQ 100, which itself is a concentrated index, the upside to those earnings estimates is really driven by just 3 names: Amazon, Meta, and NVIDIA. And even the rest of the Magnificent Seven
and Tesla
aren't seeing higher earnings revision. So just as the market...
I'm kidding, folks.
Leadership is narrow. Earnings estimates are narrow, so it does put the onus for the rest of the market to participate.
Is that the one thing that would cause you to be more cautious because you just don't believe that earnings are coming where they are? You look at other things like rising yields, rising oil prices, a really stunning drop in volatility that has some saying way too much complacency out there. But what is it for you?
Yeah, I do think that it is an earnings revision down cycle because all this year flat has been the new up. up. We haven't seen estimates get cut. They've been raising a little bit. If we go back to a world where earnings estimates start getting cut again, that's looking a lot more like 2022, and that's where you'd say we would expect more than just a short and shallow kind of correction. But if the economy continues to hold up and economic surprises continue to push economic forecasts higher, that's why we're seeing earnings estimates raise.
Yeah, but what side are you leaning on, though? I mean, do you think the economy is going to run out of steam? It surprised so many people. Ken Griffin was on the network.
It has. Check out our chat. Everyone's saying the surprise.
Yesterday, and just talked about the market in general is, wow, there's been so many things that could have gone bad, but they haven't really. And even if they've been a little squirrely here and there, these are my words, of course, not his, but the market's been resilient. It's hung in there, even though he thinks we're in the 7th or 8th inning of this move.
And there's been so many cross currents because you can point to things like bankruptcies within subprime auto lenders causing you to get scared and think maybe that there's issues with the consumer at the lower end brewing. But then you have the Empire Fed manufacturing survey coming out today showing a big jump in new orders and future expectations. So businesses may be saying, hey, recession averted, we can hire more, we can spend more. So you have all of these contrasting signals all over the place in this market.
Are you in the recession averted camp?
Ooh.
I think you were in the recession camp for a while.
No, we were in the no recession in the first half of 23 reassess as we went through it because we thought that expectations for a recession first half were far too aggressive.
But what about now, though, right? Because, I mean, the yield curve is still dramatically inverted.
Yeah.
Right, leading economic indicators still aren't great. Now, you can point to other things that maybe would be the tell of a soft landing or not. But now what, though?
So we don't think that we'll have a recession in 23. So the calls for an entry into recession in the fourth quarter, we don't think are founded by the data. We don't want to rule out a recession at some point in 24, but based on the pace of the data that we're seeing today, it's looking much more like late first half into the second half is the first that we would see it.
And you know what? I hate to say it, but I was totally wrong on this as well. I thought for sure that economic growth GDP growth would not hold up as much as it has. I'm very surprised by how fast GDP has or how consistent GDP growth has been, second derivative. But yeah, I mean, I'm still not throwing it out. It's not so much the yield inversion that triggers the recession. It's the correction of the curves often, that painfulness of the correction that triggers something. So I guess we'll see. I mean, I think the biggest question that everyone has still is real estate. Everyone wants to know, is real estate going to come back down? And the problem with real estate doomsdaying is that real estate is so localized. It's so localized that to do aggregate, federal, aggregate, countywide even can be misleading. And of course, they paint pictures for us, but it's so localized. It's so localized. Thank you very much, Mimi. Says hit like and subscribe, not very hard. Appreciate that. Apple, J Kim says Apple 4P is too high. I think Apple is barely growing anymore. Here's the thing with Apple. Apple will always trade at a premium because Apple is consistent, steady, buys back stocks, and gives you dividends, and is still selling this technological growth story. The issue with Apple to me is not so much their corporation, their corporate governance, although I can nitpick, because I think they do a really good job with buybacks, really good job with dividends at where they are. It's their innovation from here, and I'm a huge Apple fanboy, and I wish if nothing but the success of the Vision Pro. I guess we'll see. Mr. McSnuffy Fluffly, great name, says, I feel like why be surprised? Look at long-term S&P, close eyes, come back in 2 years, up 30%. Does timing really matter? And I guess, yeah, I mean, long-term investing is all about that. I guess we're trying to figure out, because remember, recessions have more to do than just with the stock market. Purchasing power, employment, right? All these inflation, a lot of this stuff affects our day-to-day as well, outside of just the stock market. And I guess everyone's trying to figure out where the world is headed here. Saskatchewan How's it going? Says, everyone's so focused on market cycles that they forget what the economy was like before COVID. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but thinking about pre-COVID feels like ancient history to me. It's insane. It feels like ancient history. Yeah, going into election year, no way. Yes. I think you talked about the war. Wasn't the term recession changed? I think you're talking about the calculation for inflation. Well, recession to me is 2 quarters of negative GDP growth, right? That's what it is to me. Oh, actually, no, you're right. They did change. What did they do? Yeah. When technically we hit a recession in 22, right? Technically we hit a recession in 2022, but you're right. They didn't classify it as such. Yes, man, that feels like so long ago. J. Kim says we all aged 10 years over the last 3. Do you guys agree with that? I don't know if 10 years, but it does feel like it. Like 2020. So 3 years ago, Tesla. Actually, let's just do a little deep dive into. I hope you guys don't mind. Hold on one second. Let me just take this off here. Hold on one sec. So let's just do a trip down memory lane. Okay. So if you remember, 2023 September. Let's go here. Sorry, what am I saying? September of 2020. Tesla was sitting at split adjusted $30 a share. Tesla had this huge run up. If you guys remember COVID, Tesla crashed massively. So, and then it had this huge run up, I think up to like $1,000 for the first time earlier that year. Big crash down. And September 2020, Tesla was sitting at $30 split adjusted, $30-ish split adjusted. And then of course, S&P inclusion, Tesla hit more profits. Kia Texas was announced. S&P inclusion date happened, right? Yeah, watching Tesla every day does have time dilation effect. How's it going, Tyler? This is when the first ever live stream on this channel happened. Which, by the way, should we? Hopefully you can hear me again. I unplugged. I got so excited I unplugged my freaking thing. Okay, so so on the channel, this is my second ever video.
In this video, I want to talk about,
and it was, will Tesla do a capital raise before S&P inclusion? I say yes. This was a day before they did that. They did a capital raise, and then from here is where I think the party kind of started. Let me see the oldest ever video. So that's oldest. Hold on. Let me just pull up my live stream. So where's the S&P inclusion watch party? Where is it? Oh man, folks. My thumbnails back then, I gotta say, I apologize. I really do. I really apologize for this. Is it this one right here? 2 years ago.
I thought it'd find a base and it'd be less volatile.
Oh man, this is kind of embarrassing to actually watch. I'll have to go back and watch it later. Insane. Anyways, I'll have to go find the S&P inclusion stream that we did. But man, we had a lot of fun on that stream. That was that was when I really got addicted into streaming. I was like, you know what? This streaming thing, a lot of fun. 33.95 said on GM. You got it, Robbie. Yeah. Insane. Let me just check my banners. I don't want to miss anything. Yes. Okay. Yes. I can't sign off without talking about the main headline for the title. Elon says $1 trillion profit per year. Now, if you haven't seen this, you're in for a really good surprise. So let me just make sure I have the correct tab pulled up. So from Walter Isaacson's biography of Elon Musk, and Dave Lee points this out and highlights it for us, Dave says, this is interesting. It shows the wild potential of Tesla solving real world AI. According to Walter Isaacson, Elon Musk told him, quote, Tesla is on the trajectory of making $1 trillion profit each year. I'm going to say that one more time. Tesla is on the trajectory of making $1 trillion in profit every year. Now, of course, if warning bells are going off in your head, fair enough. But let's get into the context of what Elon has to say about this. So, okay, during conversation, actually, hold on, let me just move this up a little bit. During conversation that month about milestones his companies had reached, Elon, explained to me why he thought Tesla was on a trajectory to be the most valuable company in the world, one that made $1 trillion in profits each year. Yet there were no notes of celebration or even satisfaction in his voice. Quote, I guess I've just always wanted to push all of my chips on the table or play the next level of the game. He said, quote, I'm not good at sitting back. This is the guy, if you guys remember, I don't need to remind you, but this is the guy who said Tesla will deliver 500,000 cars by 2020. And they managed to do that even with COVID. Elon timelines are not always on time, but the way that he thinks is very illuminating. And 1 trillion per year is insane. And so we talk about early innings of Tesla, and of course, a large portion of this, I believe, has to robotaxis has to be a big portion of this, but also Tesla bot. If they're licensing out these bots, if they're leasing out these bots, sorry, I should say, or if they're licensing out the tech for bots, whatever it might be, their AI tech that they have is a huge margin business. And I'm sure Elon didn't just make up 1 trillion per year, considering I don't even know what company does $1 trillion a year in revenue, right? Mind you, very few companies are doing $1 trillion in market cap. So, or maybe Elon is just adjusting for inflation. Wrong answers only, right? He's just adjusting for inflation. Let's see here. Thank you, Messi. 1 trillion. So Nick's have done some calculations. $1 trillion, $300 per share times 40 PEs, 12,000 share price. Insane. Well, there you go, Dominic. It's right up there. So $1 trillion profits per year is $300 per share in profit. 40 PEs, 12,000 share price. Let's cut that in half just to discount for something. I mean, come on. Insane. And of course, this is Elon talking off the cuff, but remember, Elon is a multi-decade thinker. Can you tell me if you invested in '01 that if I told you that there'd be $1 trillion market cap companies, what would anyone say, right? Or multi-trillion dollar companies, I should probably clarify. 2001 most market cap company. I'm just going to pull this up. In '01, what was the highest market cap company? So it's $600 billion for Microsoft. So if I told you that Apple would be worth $2 or $3 trillion market cap, I mean, I don't think anyone would believe that in '01 or 2000. Michael says the great Tesla Twitter crash 2022 has altered my DNA, and not in a fun way. Fair enough. I think it's triggered some people for sure. But this is Elon. Elon will always Elon. You can't have Elon without having all of Elon. He's human. People forget, right? Ron Barron says 13,000 a share. Well, actually, maybe Robbie, you're referring to what I tweeted, and I should probably clarify that. I feel like I have the responsibility to. So when someone commented on my YouTube channel the other day and they said, Ron Barron is, oh, by the way, look at that, I'm live on X. When someone commented on my YouTube video the other day and they said, Ron Barron is 80 years old, I was flabbergasted, right? I was flabbergasted. So I had to go out and I just ran and tweeted out. I said, holy crap, Ron Barron is 80 years old, doesn't even look close to that age. What a boss, right? And I genuinely mean that. He looks really good for 80, right? But I Googled Ron Barron and I found images and I found this one. But it was from February 2023 and it wasn't updated for some reason on the split. So it said 15,000. He actually said, and someone clarified in the chat, 15,000. Or pardon me, 1,500. Freudian slip again. So this was a misprint from CNBC, but still. Insane. Maybe 30 years later. Yeah, I mean, exactly, Mark. Maybe Elon's talking in 30 years out. Maybe he's talking in 50 years out. But, I mean, insane, right? Imagine all the stock buyback with that 1 trillion. Oh, actually, that's a great point. I forgot to mention this. When we're watching CNBC, they talked about EPS growth at all companies has come down, right? Remember, share buybacks, and I'm pro share buybacks. Share buybacks also increase EPS. They don't do it in intrinsic way, right? They don't do it by actually producing more things, but they do it at a corporate governance level. And that's why Apple, if you look at their EPS growth, that's why. That's a big portion of it, right? Of course, profits matter as well. But hey, buybacks. I'm on board with buybacks. Okay. Awesome. So let's just see here anymore. That is all. That is all I got for today's Sunday live stream. I spent some time debriefing this morning with everything. I hope everyone has a wonderful week ahead. Hit like, hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. If you want to buy a Tesla hat sitting on Tesla, it's embroidered. It's a good talking. It's a good icebreaker, as they call it. TSLAGG.com. Good question on the Europe shipping. I'll have to double check on that, but shoot me a message on Twitter or whatever if you have any troubles there. Much love. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for joining me on another live stream. I should play out some outro music, but I don't have any. But I hope everyone has a wonderful... stream is stuck says one. I hope not. But I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful week ahead. Go Tesla. Let's see what happens in the stock market. Last week was a great week. So if we take a breather this week, I wouldn't be surprised in the least. But hey, I just wanted to throw this out there before I leave. October of 2021, before everyone signs off, October of 2021, what happened? I can't sign off until someone answers this correctly before I leave. I'm going to pull up the chat box here as well. Little impromptu. What happened in October 2021? Can anyone tell me before they sign off? Someone's got to know this. Actually, maybe should I pull up Weeble? There we go. All-time highs. All-time highs. Look, I'm not throwing this out there. Correlation does not equal causation. Hurts. Yes, that is true. Turned 57. Happy belated, Dan. Oh, no, you turned 57 then. Well, happy early birthday then, I guess. Good things happen. Model Y, all-time highs. That's what I'm trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to get at. October 2021, great month for Tesla. We're 2 weeks away from October. October 27th is my prediction for the Cybertruck event. I think October is going to be a really good month. We got a couple weeks until then. And mind you, I won't even be in the continent, I guess, for a good portion of that month. But I'm telling you, I got good feelings about this fall and winter heading into Tesla land. For better or for worse, stock price aside, Cybertruck's coming out October 2021. Again, correlation always equals causation. I think we all know this by now. But yes, you have a screenshot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I think you DM'd me that with my face on it. Much love. Okay, awesome. Take care, everyone. Sign off. Happy Sunday. Go spend some time with family, friends. Put away your phones for the day if you have to. Be well. All right, guys. Take care. Yes, sign off. Peace.